na mgbe anyị mechara n'obodo a na-ala obodo ekwensu bụ uzu ga na-amajiji
ise
ndị iro ga-anọ n'ọsọ
ise
ndị ọjọọ ga-anọ n'ọsọ
ise
ndị na-agwọ nsị ga-anọ n'ọsọ
ise
ndị okwu asị ga-anọ n'ọsọ
ise
eziokwu Chineke ga-apụta ihe
ise
onye anyị ka a na-arịọ ugbu a na ruo mgbe niile ebido
ise.
Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you are joining me from Africa, from Asia, from Europe, from America, or from Australia, I thank you very much for your contributions on my channel. Please, each time you watch my video, go to the comment section and put down your comments. Express yourself the way you feel it. Say it. That is the only place where we can communicate and hear from each other. This is a fight for all of us to be free. A fight for the freedom of Oduduwa and the freedom of Biafrans. We all have to come together. Whenever you come across my video, share the video to all platforms. Share the video with your families and friends. Let them hear our voice. Do not allow the conventional media to change the narrative. They are trying by all means possible to shut us down, to change the narrative and tell lies against us. We will not allow them to tell our story. We will tell the story, the truth and nothing but the truth. I will make the world hear what is going on. That is exactly what we are doing. So you have to share the video to people who need to hear our voice so that they can hear us. You never can tell who the video will come into his or her hands, and we can now get victory. It is not all well with anybody in that very contraption called Nigeria, regardless your religion, regardless your tribe. The country called Nigeria is in a very deep mess. The country has fallen apart. There is no country known as Nigeria anymore. It's a failed state. All we know is a failed state called Nigeria, and the politicians are still there pretending to be having a country. They have abducted our supreme leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, as you all know. They abducted him in Kenya and sent him to Nigeria through extraordinary rendition, which is a war crime. This is a crime against the international community, and the stage is very hot for them this time. The stage is hot for them. They are not finding it easy. They are not finding it easy, no matter how they pretend, no matter what they are thinking. We know that they are feeling the heat. They are feeling the heat more than ever. Last time they arrested our supreme leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, they knew how it went. And this time around, they have tried it. This time they are not going to get away with it. This is the end of the road. And Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is coming out hell and hearty. And he's coming out with Biafra and the Biafra flag. And we will all celebrate together. Wherever you are, if you are from the southern part of Nigeria, this is a time for you to stand up and fight the right cause. This is a time for you to speak up. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, when he was with us, he has been speaking up for you and I. He has been speaking up on daily basis for you and I, making sure that our voice is heard all over the world. He has spoken for the liberation of every indigenous tribe in that very contraction called Nigeria. He wasn't selfish about the self-determination. He was not fighting only for the Igbos. He wasn't fighting only for the Biafrans. He wasn't fighting only for the Southerners. He wasn't fighting only for Nigerians. He was also fighting for all black nations in the world. Everybody that is being persecuted, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was speaking up for you. Speaking the voice of all the poor masses. It doesn't matter what they do to him. It doesn't matter how they try to shut him down. The voice of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is going louder than ever. We are hearing him on a daily basis. His voice is sounding very close to our ears. And we can never shut his voice down. We can never shut him out. He will continue to speak for us and speak on our behalf on a daily basis, and we will continue to hear him. Recently, as people have been worried, everybody have been worried about the abduction of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. People are crying from different sections. People are worried. There is every reason to get worried. There is every reason to cry. There is every reason to get worried. But I can assure you that whatever happened to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the will of Chukwu Abiyama. And Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will come out alive and well with victory very, very soon. Sooner or later, sooner than you expect, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is going to come out to join us, and we are going to celebrate together. We will celebrate together, have a wonderful celebration that we will never go back from. The end of the road is here. And they say that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. We are seeing the light already. We are at the end of the tunnel, and we are seeing the light shining brighter than ever, and nobody can shut the light down. The light will continue to shine brighter. The voice of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will continue to go louder. As you are all getting worried, I can assure you, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is alive and well. Just as I have told you always, that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, his only wish where he is that we should all remain strong. We should all remain in unity. There should be no division among the members of IPOB. There should be no division among the Biafrans. There should be no division in the southern part of Nigeria. There should be unity. That very unity that he has been preaching from day one, that unity is what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is calling you and I to hold strong. This is the time that we have to be united more than ever. Be united and speak in one voice. As you all know, the challenges is getting to the end of it. We are about to get our victory, and when we are coming to the end of the victory, the challenges get more worse. There are going to be a lot of propagandas coming from east, west, north, and south. Shut your ears to those propagandas. They are all lies. They are all meant to distract you. Some people are pushing propaganda that the ESN is no longer effective. ESN is more than effective now. They are now effective more than ever. If you have any fund you are raising for ESN, any support you are giving to ESN, continue to give ESN your support. More people are being recruited into ESN, and ESN are fighting day and night, securing the southeastern part of Nigeria more than ever. So wherever you are, continue to give your support. Some are talking about problem in IPOB. IPOB has no problem. Neither do DOS have any problem. There is no problem in IPOB. There is no problem in DOS. They are all working effectively, just like when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was with us. Everything is in place. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu did a great job. Everything that he has put in place and still working very much effectively. Very, very much effectively. And Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, wherever he is praying for you and I. Remember, today is the 47th day of the prayer he gave us to pray, the Psalms. If you have not joined the prayer, continue to pray every day on that prayer that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have given to us. Today is the 47th day. Remember, it's 150th day. And I believe at the end of that prayer, there will be miracle. There will be. This is a man who has spoken, and everything that he has spoken has come to pass before your own very eyes. Every prophecy that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have given have come to pass before your own very eyes. That is why you have to believe him. Whatever he tells you, you have to do it. He gave us a prayer to do. We will continue to make that prayer. Continue to make that prayer while we wait for him to join us very, very soon. Very, very soon he's going to join us. Let us continue in one spirit. That is the only thing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu demand from us now. One spirit, and continue in the prayer. He gave us the secret before he left. Prayer, watch and pray. The victory is very, very close. He has gone to bring our flag and raise our flag up more than ever. That is the assignment he has signed, and he is getting to the end of that assignment to bring Biafra to you and I, to bring freedom to the southern part of Nigeria, bring Oduduwa, and so that all of us will celebrate. That freedom is very close. Our Oduduwa brothers are doing very well. Sunday Igboho is doing very well on his own angle with all Oduduwa agitators. The southern part of Nigeria are ready to break up from that very contraption called Nigeria, and they are fighting strong. If you have not joined, wake up and join. The time is now. The time is now. If you are afraid, don't be afraid. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is coming out very, very soon. I'm going to share with you a video of the interaction Mazi Nnamdi Kanu had with his own personal lawyer. With his personal lawyer, Barrister Aloy Ejimako. I'm going to show you the BBC interview that he granted on what transpired and what is going on with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, so that you will know that we are still on track. Stop believing gossip. Stop believing side talk. Focus. Be focused. If you want to hear everything about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and his message, listen to the lawyers who see him on daily basis. Those are the places you're going to get the real information. Let us watch the discussion between Barrister Aloy Ejimako, the lawyer of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and the BBC. Let's watch.
For the benefit of the viewers, what I'm about to say will be best expressed in English than Pidgin, so I must apologize for that, because legal terms will be occurring here a lot today. Yes, I met him yesterday for almost 3 hours at the headquarters of the DSS in Abuja, and we had quite an interaction, private interaction initially, and later on he was interviewed by 3 DSS officers in my presence. I wanted to call it an interrogation, but they said no, it's an interview. During which they asked him routine questions, but most of the questions centered on his being the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra and the activities of that organization. So he answered the questions in a relaxed atmosphere, with bearing in mind his constitutional rights not to incriminate himself. Of course, some of the questions had background information that he considered incomplete, and he told the officers that he was not able to answer some of those questions because the information that they supplied to him was incomplete. So the interview went without incident, and at some point it was brought to a close. I think maybe there's going to be another interview to be scheduled, but I have not been informed of that yet.
And you go there in that other interview, you go there with your client, Nnamdi Kanu, for those other interviews will go happen after today.
Will you go?
You go there with your client?
Yes, I go there with normally, his right to counsel has attached. So any further interview, whether it's called interview or interrogation, any interaction on the matter as to what he did or what he didn't do or the allegations can never occur without presence of counsel. If he does, he'll be tainted and he'll be inadmissible in court. Okay,
so before we talk more about this, you talk, say, aside from the interview your client Nnamdi Kanu gets with the DSS officers, you also get private interaction with him. Yes. Before we go into details on that, in as much as you can share with us, if you describe to us when you see Nnamdi Kanu, how he be, what's in his state of mind?
Well, his state of mind wasn't as sound as it should be. You know, if you listen to his broadcast, you would know that he's a historian. But when I was talking with him, he had trouble recalling the actual date he was abducted. It surprised me. So to jog his memory, I asked him how many nights he spent in Abuja before he was brought to court. He told me 2 nights. So he was brought to court on Tuesday, the 29th June. So we figured he must have been brought into the country on Sunday, the 27th. So when I mentioned that date, he said, sure, that's the date. But I took particular note of that. I also noticed that he had a visible injury on his right wrist. I asked him what it was. He said it was where they had chained him, put the chain on him, and chained him to the concrete floor in Nairobi, Kenya. And he has disappearing injury on the left wrist and an injury right here at the nape of the neck. So he related to me. I asked him what happened, and what happened, much of it is now public knowledge. So what I'm doing is by way of adumbration, supplying more information.
If you tell us more about what's happened, because you talk about, you just mentioned Kenya, and Kenyan government don't come out to talk, say, they no arrest Nnamdi Kanu for Kenya. So tell us more about this.
What happened is this. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu entered Kenya, I believe, on a certain date, right around April this year. I'm not sure. I'm trying to establish the actual date of entry. But I have documentation from a Kenyan hospital that placed him in Kenya as of 14th April this year, 14th May. So he entered Kenya.
And what did they do for Kenya hospital?
He went there because he had issues with his heart. He felt he wasn't well. So he went there, he was examined, and the diagnosis was hypertension and heart murmur. They made prescriptions for him, and my examination of the medical report indicated medications for heart and controlling blood pressure. So apparently he entered Kenya before the 14th May this year. So he had settled in at a location in Nairobi, a temporary location, and he entered with his passport. The biographic page of his passport was made available to me as of counsel, and the page bearing the stamp, the immigration stamp that admitted him to Kenya, was also made available to me. So I had irrebuttable evidence, independent of what he was going to tell me, that placed him in Kenya before the extraordinary rendition. So when that day, on the fateful day, that was on I believe on the 19th, yes, not believe, certain, 100%, he drove himself to the airport from his temporary location in Kenya. He drove to Jomo Kenyatta International and went into the garage, the underground garage, to pick up a visitor flying in from outside. Okay, that is not necessary for this discussion. the identity or whatever. So the moment he got into the parking lot, the garage, a group of several men well armed to the teeth.
And this now waiting Nnamdi Kanu tell you about waiting you remember of waiting happen before they bring him to Nigeria.
This is what he told me, and his recollection of this was very, very lucid and clear.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so now they swooped on him. They gathered and grabbed him, okay, in a very physical, rough way, and he raised the lamb. Luckily for him, there were a few people that were there, and the people wanted to intervene in terms of really very aggressive intervention, because to them, I asked him why they would consider making an aggressive intervention when something that seemed law enforcement was happening. He said perhaps they didn't believe it was normal. So the people that were abducting him told everybody to stay clear, that this person you're looking at is a Nigerian terrorist who assists the Al-Shabaab terrorists in Kenya. And apparently most of the people that wanted to intervene, the Good Samaritans, are Kenyans. And you know, Al-Shabaab has quite an extensive operation in Kenya, just like we have the Boko Haram here. So perhaps there's this emotional thing about it that they shouldn't be saving anybody that is linked to Al-Shabaab. He said in that moment of indecision and maybe reluctance to further intervene, they grabbed him, put him in their car, and left, and took him to a private residence, not an official detention facility, where they chained him to the floor. For most of the 8 days he spent there, and they really tortured him, thinking he was Al-Shabaab. So he kept telling them he wasn't Al-Shabaab. He had nothing to do with Al-Shabaab. He kept telling them who he was.
Who be these people?
Well, I asked him who they are. He told me they are Kenyan security officials. I asked him why. He said the insignia, the carriage, that he had arrived Kenya, so he had a bit knowledge of the terrain and how the law enforcement functions and the sort of things they wear, how, you know, that they were brazen with weapons openly. It couldn't have been private parties or, you know, some rogue agents doing that. He told me that the thing has it's, you know, 100% degree of officialdom to it. So they took him to that location, and they were torturing him, and I'm sorry to say they really beat him a lot. So, but at some point when he was trying to explain himself, he told me he was blindfolded most of the time, chained to the floor, bare floor. And he told me that it looks like one of them decided to be a little bit intellectual about the whole thing, and went out and maybe got some information, came back and said, hey, listen, he's not what we think he is. They lied to us. And that was when they disclosed to him that, listen, the real purpose of grabbing you was at the behest of the Nigerian government. Nigerian government hired us to grab you, to abduct you with that information that you are linked to Al-Shabaab. He said, okay, you gotta let me go. He said, no, we are committed already. We have to hand it over.
But the Kenyan government don't clearly talk, say they don't get hand for this, and they no arrest Nnamdi Kanu for the ground. And also the federal government never come out to talk anything about where your client, where they arrest your client from.
Okay. Anyway, I have, you see, it's not going to be a question of he said, she said. I'm a lawyer. I operate on the basis of independent and credible evidence. The Kenyan High Commissioner might have sounded credible to the general public, but the information available to me can impeach every single word she uttered, including the denial that came from the home government. I have immigration stamp placing Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya just 2 months before his abduction. I have medical evidence placing him at a Kenyan hospital, okay? And I have his own word. He's a man of sound mind. Then, fourthly, after the Guardian newspaper UK broke the news that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's British passport was still in Kenya, the following day, Kenyan authorities raided that very location for the first time, from where he took off to the airport. So you connect the dots.
And what's in your client, Nnamdi Kanu, tell you about how they move him from Kenya, as you talk, say, tell you,
How they
to
move
Nigeria?
him. Yes. You see, he said on the fateful day, that was the 27th on Sunday, 27 June, they drove him in a car to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, blindfolded him, and bundled him inside a private jet, like a Learjet. I asked him if it's a Boeing 777, so whatever, or Airbus, the big ships. He said, no, it's a normal private jet that you often would see some people owning private jet, that kind of size. And he was the lone passenger in that jet, in that plane, and he didn't clear immigration. They drove him straight, on the tarmac, straight to the plane, and very close to the plane, and put him inside the plane with Nigerian security officials, and left about 12 noon in the afternoon, and landed Nigeria same day in the evening, around something after 4 or to 5.
You talk about the fact, say, you don't see your client. You talk about his physical and mental state. Tell us more about his mental state. You talk, say, he seemed to be like, say, he seemed to forget things.
No, that's not what I mean. What I meant is this, that he appears like somebody who has been mentally traumatized. So he's unwilling to talk about one or two things until you prompt him. Like when I prompted him about the date, that's the conclusion I drew. How many nights he spent in Abuja.
Is he afraid?
No, he's not. He's traumatized. He has trauma. He has mental trauma and physical trauma. And the trauma continues because the first night he spent in Nigeria, he told me, in that one he did in the presence of DSS officers, when they asked him if he has concerns, certain concerns. He said, yes, the first night he was brought to the facility. They put him in a room with a small old mattress and left a very bright light on throughout the night. So he had sleep deprivation of the extreme order. It was the following day, perhaps, maybe someone decided it shouldn't be this way. So they put him in a better place. So the trauma continues in terms of his being held incommunicado. He's not allowed to have contact, like you will expect of a detention facility, except with his visitors. And up to this moment, his visitors have only been lawyers.
So how long it take for them to allow you and your other lawyers?
Well, I've been trying to see him since Friday. I thought I was going to succeed on Tuesday. I didn't. So eventually I succeeded yesterday. So when I raised a bit of mild objection, the officers told me that it was a matter of inconvenience for them.
No contact with family members?
Not yet. I made requests for that yesterday.
Make we talk about the trial where go begin again on the 26th of July. Yes. How prepared una dey for that trial?
Well, we are, but there's not going to be any trial. There's going to be trial within trial. What happened to Nnamdi Kanu is, by legal definition, worldwide legal definition, what is called extraordinary rendition. It's a state crime. It's a crime by the state. If a private individual abducts or violently and illegally seizes another individual, it's called kidnapping, and in some jurisdictions, it's a capital offense. When state does it, it's called extraordinary rendition. That's what happened. So if you rendered or you renditioned a fugitive or a suspect, you have lost jurisdiction to try that suspect because you committed an international crime. You broke your own laws. You broke the laws of the third state from which territory you renditioned that individual. And you broke the laws of the second state of nationality of that individual. That is what is playing out here, because we have three divergent but also compliant jurisdictions. The three jurisdictions here, Nigeria, Kenya, and UK, their laws prohibit extraordinary rendition. The only legal pathway to grabbing a suspect from one jurisdiction to another for for UK, for Kenya and Nigeria is through extradition. It has a process. Nigeria has an Extradition Act, which you can find at the Laws of Federation of Nigeria, Chapter E25. Kenya has its own. It's called Extradition Commonwealth Countries Act. Britain has its own. The three laws are very similar. So there's no conflict of law here. The only conflict of law is that Nigeria chose to broke its own law, Kenyan law and British law. So that conflict will be ventilated in court to see whether there is jurisdiction to try him for any offense, or whether the proper thing to do is it not to return him to the state that he was, despite the bench warrant that was issued by the Federal High Court here. The bench warrant is not a competent legal document to go into a foreign country and illegally grab a suspect. It's not. It should have become one if Nigerian authorities had submitted the process to extradition proceedings in Kenya and succeeded in the final analysis in getting a warrant or order of extradition. It would have been okay. So the first issue before the court here is not to try Nnamdi for any criminal offense, but to have a trial within trial, because extradition is, of course, is an act of forcible abduction, so it's considered torture under the Torture Convention. And Britain has case authorities where it has asserted extraterritorial jurisdiction, what is otherwise known as universal jurisdiction, to indict and try and imprison those that engaged in such conduct. And if Nigeria was lucky that this didn't occur on British soil, if it did, we would have had a throwback to 1984 when Nigeria tried it and failed. This one they failed because it was on British soil. They created a man named Mohammadu Buhari, and they were caught at the airport. It was the same thing. The only thing that differs Diko from Nnamdi Kanu is that Kanu wasn't created, and he was kidnapped in a third state. Diko was kidnapped, created. At the airport, British authorities got suspicious and the whole thing unraveled. 17 men were arrested, 4 were in prison for between 6 to 8 years and deported when they were out of jail. Britain broke diplomatic relations with Nigeria for 2 years. They expelled the Nigerian ambassador, the High Commissioner, and some diplomatic staff found complicit in that grievous crime. And it was a whole lot of noise internationally. And Nigeria's subsequent request, formal request, meritorious request for extradition of Diko and the other Nigerians wanted who were in UK were summarily denied by Britain. So there are definitely, for sure, countervailing measures when a nation tries to commit such a grievous crime, just because they want to have a suspect before their judicial authorities. There are things that the country should have done right, but they decided not to do it.
Okay, so they've been calls don't come from different quarters, from different groups, say the federal government must handle this case on a fair note, that the trial must happen, Nnamdi Kanu trial must happen on a fair note. Does this make you optimistic?
Fair trial?
That Nnamdi Kanu must have a fair trial?
See, there is it's an oxymoron. It's a contradiction to say that a jurisdiction that broke the laws of 3 countries and the international law, that's the 4th component, to bring a suspect before that jurisdiction should be expected to give fair trial to such individual. But like I said, we haven't even gotten to that bridge yet. When we get to the bridge of whether he's going to get fair trial or not, we are going to ventilate it. The bridge we have to cross first is the bridge of testing the impact of the jurisdiction of Nigeria to try Nnamdi Kanu for any criminal offenses stemming from the extraordinary rendition. That's where we are.
So finally, pretty weighty allegations and accusations against your client. And some people who I don't talk to, say, now all these things they could bring up during the trial. Talk about his utterances for Radio Biafra, talk about him asking people to take up arms and commit some atrocities, like they said. All this will come up during the trial, and they say the federal government gets very big evidence, weighty evidence against Nnamdi Kanu. Waiting they go through your client's mind, if they think about the trial, does it make him worried?
Nnamdi Kanu, especially during his interview with the DSS officers, he explained to them, they asked a question similar to this. He said, what I set out to do is protected under the laws of Federation of Nigeria and under international law, which is self-determination. And I set out to do it through peaceful means of referendum. I was singing referendum like a song. Now, how can you say I committed a crime for pushing something, for holding a protected political opinion? I can give you the quotation. It's at cap A9, Laws of Federation of Nigeria, Article 20 and Article 1. It's Nigerian law. But I'm wondering if maybe the Attorney General is not yet aware of it, or it hasn't been brought to his attention. So he has what lawyers call an affirmative defense, that he hasn't committed any offense by virtue of Section 36, subsection 12 of Nigerian Constitution, which stated clearly that no Nigerian can be tried and convicted for any offense that is not written down in a written law. Self-determination, asking for self-determination or referendum is not an offense. Even asking to secede is not an offense. It's not an offense to ask to secede, because they frame the charge in terms of you, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, committed an offense because you ask that you said you are going to secede. So that question really is self-explanatory from the way he put it. So in legalese, he has no case to answer on that. It's a legal issue. But again, we have the other part of it. He who asserts must prove. In criminal law, we say you cannot convict any man unless you prove your case beyond reasonable doubt. If federal government feels it has quantum evidence to convict him, it's their case. The burden is on them to do that. After they have done that, we now mount our defense.
Barrister.
After watching, you can agree with me that no matter the problem, no matter the stress, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is on track. And he is going to join us very, very soon. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is stronger than ever. He has a very strong defense, both international and local. And nothing will happen to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We are expecting him to join us as soon as possible. Nothing on planet Earth will stop him from joining us. His freedom is sure, sealed and signed. And very soon, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is going to be out with victory, with the flag of Biafra and the national anthem of Biafra singing very high, the Biafra lifting very high. We will all celebrate together very soon. If you have not joined your voice, add your voice and speak up. Speak louder more than ever, because the time is now. May Chukwu Abiyama continue to press Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. May Chukwu Abiyama continue to protect Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, strengthen him and give him good health. May Chukwu Abiyama continue to give him more word, give him a strong spirit to continue to fight to the end. I trust him and I believe, because he has no other God except Chukwu Abiyama. And I believe Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will join us very soon. May Chukwu Abiyama bless Sunday Igboho, protect Sunday Igboho wherever he is. Protect our brothers who are the Oduduwas fighting for Oduduwa Republic. Protect all those who are adding their own voice in the fight for freedom in that very country we call Nigeria, wherever they are coming from. May Chukwu Abiyama promote all of you. Thank you so much for joining me, and remember, bye-bye. See you again on the next video.